welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I'm a part-time reseller on Poshmark, and today we are going to talk about how April was for me for Poshmark. I've been doing this new series this year where I discuss how each month goes for me at the end of every single month, and I talk about the highs, the lows, and everything else in between. So if that is something that is interesting to you, definitely keep watching. And if you want to watch more of this series of how, January and February and March were, you can definitely watch those other videos down below in the playlist. But without further ado, let's get right into the video and discuss April. So honestly, I wish April was a little bit better for me. April was actually my worst performing month so far this year, which is a little bit depressing to see, but I'm hoping and still continuing to push forward and hoping that everything will be better in the coming months. But let's get right into it. So in April, we sold a total of 49 listings and totaled $791. So as you can see, this is a lot lower than the previous months, and it's way lower than my goal for each month. I'm not really quite sure what happened this month. It was just a very slow month. I couldn't really seem to make those normal sales that I was making in the prior months, and I felt like there was a lot more days where it was very, very slow. So I don't really know what happened, and it kind of just shows in the number of sales that I made. So mostly on average, I sold like 1 to 2 listings a day when I did make a sale, and then there was one day where I actually sold about 14 listings, which was a crazy day for me. While this month there was a lot of negatives, there was actually one really big positive, and that one big positive was that I made 10 sales in one day, which was my record. Before that, my record was 7 sales in a day, and I had made that record back in 2021. So beating that and making 10 sales in one day was kind of crazy. I did not expect that to happen, and it was kind of just like they just kept coming one after another. And I think I've mentioned this in the past, but I think sales do come in batches. So once you start, like the algorithm starts working in your favor and you start making a bunch of sales, they just keep coming. And so for me, 10 in one day was like really crazy. And I think in one of those I had a bundle, which is why there was more than 10 listings sold. So again, on average, it was 1 to 2, but then that one really, really big day where I made 14 items sold. And as you can see, in comparison to last month, it was a lot slower. You can definitely see there were more peaks in March than there was in April on a day-to-day basis in terms of the number of sales and stuff like that. Okay, so let's talk about what brands I sold this month. And actually, the top 2 brands are brands that are never in my top 2 brands, so it was kind of interesting to see. So the first brand that is my top selling brand of the month is Johnny Bravo. So this was actually a pair of shoes that I found at the bins that I sold. They were a very old school vintage pair of retro shoes that people, would have liked back in the day. They had like some markings and stuff like that. So I think I sold them for like 80 or so. And then the next selling brand after that was Loft, which is very surprising because Loft is never in my top selling brands. But I have been picking up a lot of Loft recently because I've been getting it really cheap. And so I think it is selling, and so I definitely am going to keep picking it up if I can get it cheap enough. And then the third top selling brand is American Eagle, which is again pretty standard for me to have that in my top selling brands for the month because again it always sells, so that is not that shocking for me. And then the next top brand after that was Chrome Hearts, and that is because I sold one sunglass case from that brand, which I actually got in a mystery box about 2 years ago, so I was very happy to have that case gone. And I definitely did make some profits on it, but I definitely did not want to keep it that long. But that is the 4th top selling brand of the month. So again, most of the brands that are my top selling brands for this month were not brands that I typically sell or list or source. They were just kind of one-off items, or in Loft's case, brands that I've started to pick up recently that I've been noticing are selling more. And in terms of listings sold for the top selling brands for the month, American Eagle was the most listings sold with 4, and then after that was Loft and Zara. So again, Loft and Zara, I started picking up more and more, and so more and more of those items are selling. But American Eagle, again, like I say, every single month is a brand that I always pick up because it continues to keep selling for me. So pretty much most of my sales came from women's items this month. I'd say probably about 99% of them, and then there was a few small items that were men's, and then a few small items that were kids. And then there were a few small items that were actually in the home department. So in terms of the actual items that I sold, about 94% of them were not new with tag, and about 6% were new with tag. And per usual, 88% of my sales came from offers. So that number just continues to keep being a very high number month over month. So again, I can't stress enough how important it is to be sending those offers, because most of my sales do come from offers, and I feel like I have the best luck with offers. And then I had about 7% of sales come from a bundle offer, and then about 5% come from the buy now. I really am going to keep trying to get that buy now to be higher, because again, that makes it so I don't have to give a discount or shipping discounts or anything like that. So obviously I would love to strive for that, but again, that's a lot harder to do. Okay, so let's talk about inventory listed this month. So I listed 299 items, which again is pretty standard for me, listing 5 new items a day and then relisting 5 items a day. That gets you to about that 299 mark, give or take a few. That is pretty consistent with the prior months for this year, because I have been listing 5 items each day and then relisting 5 items every day, and I find that that is really helping me get rid of inventory quicker, and it's helping me go through things that have been sitting. And I actually have a really good example of this. Actually, it's something that sold in May. I'm actually filming this a few days into May, but I just figured I would include it in this video because it goes such a long way to do this. And so I highly recommend relisting as much as you can, because I actually sold something like it was very short after I relisted it, and I'll actually provide the screenshot of the item and how quickly it sold. You could see that the edit time was, I think, like 20 or 30 minutes, and that's how much it sold quickly. And it was kind of shocking, because that was an item that had been sitting for, I don't even know, probably since like middle of last year, and it was getting absolutely no attention, and I was auctioning it off in lives for like $10, and it just wasn't getting any kind of interest on it at all. And then I relisted it when it hit that 60-day mark. I relisted it with my VA, and I got an offer, and it sold within 20 minutes of listing it. So I highly recommend relisting if you don't already, and your items will actually sell a lot quicker than you expect. And honestly, you'll cycle through some items that have been sitting for a very long period of time. Okay, so in terms of brands added to my closet as inventory, I've added the most in the vintage category, and then Coach and American Eagle. So vintage actually covers just a bunch of different brands that I just put as vintage because their brands are not super well known, but I know that the pieces are vintage, and I think this just helps them sell more. And then American Eagle and Coach, I've listed a bunch because I have gotten a bunch of those over time. And then in terms of items that I listed, I mostly only listed women's this month so far. I'm hoping to increase that and start listing other categories like men, kids, and home. Okay, so let's talk about how the year is going so far. So I sold 248 listings, and I've made $4,355. So a lot of you probably remember that I mentioned last month that I was trying to get to $1,000 each month. And so that would roughly be $4,000 for the year so far. So yes, I'm very happy that I'm actually over that threshold, even though the last 2 months I have not made it over that $1,000 in a given month. But I'm really hoping that I can get back on track coming in May and June and going forward to get over that $1,000 a month, because that is really what I've been striving for to do to, grow my business and be better at what I'm doing. So I'm really hoping that May will bring more sales for me, and we won't have another really slow month like we had in April. But as you can see in this graph, and this is really interesting because you can still see that even though April wasn't super high and it wasn't as high as I was, wanting it to be, it was still actually higher than it was last year in April. And you could see that every single month so far was higher than last year at this given time. But it's also something to note that April is actually like the closest month to any other month prior in January through April of last year. And April of last year was actually my highest month of the year, I think, in 2022. And so to see that my lowest month of this year so far is my highest month last year just really goes to show that I'm improving and I'm doing something right this year. But as you can see, for this year, it's kind of been a downward trend of each month, where January started really high, then February is a little lower, March was a little bit lower, and then April was a bit lower than that. And I'm really, really hoping that that stops going in that motion, because I don't want to keep doing worse and worse. I just don't really know what happened come April. I think what I want to say is that like people were filing their taxes, they didn't have a lot of money, or they were kind of worried about not getting a lot of money back, or maybe they didn't get a lot of money back. I'm not quite sure, but I do know that April was very slow, and I'm really looking forward to May being better. And spoiler alert, so far in the first few days of May, I am seeing some major improvements, and I will have a really exciting announcement come May's video, so I hope you stick around and watch that, because it's really exciting actually what happened on the first day of May. So make sure that you're subscribed because you don't want to miss that video that I do in a couple weeks when I do my May recap. So overall, that is how April was for me. Like I said, it wasn't as great as I had hoped it to be, but I do want to still celebrate that there was, you know, that crazy day where I made 10 sales, because that was a milestone that I was trying to get to for so long. And so while I didn't get to the goal I wanted to, I'm still happy that I was able to have some kind of milestone to celebrate, because it's really important to look at those, you know, the small things and the minor details and realize that while not everything is going in the direction that you want it to, some things are. And so while I was not able to make as many sales and sell as many items as I wanted to, I was still able to hit another milestone that I was trying to get to for so long. And so for that, I am very proud of myself. And I'm looking forward to the future and looking forward to seeing how May will be. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the summer months are going to be, because every time we approach the summer months, I always feel like there's a slowdown in sales. So I'm really hoping that this year is different and that doesn't actually happen. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope that you liked it. So I know that I should keep doing this series all year, and also make sure that you're subscribed because you don't want to miss future reselling content that I do. And if you want to see another video on secret features that you should be using on Poshmark, you can click right here. And if you want to see the playlist where I have all of these videos of the monthly recaps, you can click right here. I have my January, my February, and my March videos in there already, and then this will be the 4th one in the series. So if you want to watch those, that would be great. But until next time, I will see you then.